Hello, hello. Check 1, 2. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, baby. It's all getting all giggly up in here with the BlizzCon goodness. Oh, there we are. Hey, I finally appeared. Oh, a little more production value today, unlike what I was doing yesterday. So, unlike the opening ceremony, I can't play segments. I can't play audio from it. I don't need Blizzard Entertainment, Activision lawyers coming after me. It's no bueno. So, I'm going to do something different. Yes, I'm going to do something different for the WoW coverage. Now, mind you, this is not going to cover the raid design segment that's going on today. And I think there's like Music Blizzard stuff that does cover also some World of Warcraft stuff. This is just going to cover basically the meat and potatoes that everyone wants to know, but because so many people who put out Blizzard information, put out World of Warcraft information, are at BlizzCon right now, well, here I am. I'm going to strike while the iron's hot. Anyways, so first off, yeah, nice transition, wasn't it? Yeah. So first off, one of the first things they did with the introduction was they gave us some zone flow, your standard information. We're gonna have 6 zones over 2 continents, not one, but 2 continents. Yes, appreciate that. We're getting 2 continents. We're gonna level up in our faction zones, and I will have more about that here in just a few, in a little bit. The rest of the world opens up at 120. Okay, yeah, and what they mean by that is that 120, you'll start jumping from the Horde starting zones to the Alliance starting zones, and vice versa. There's going to be an epic war campaign arc woven throughout the whole thing, and that is very important. World quests and emissaries await at 120. Is anyone surprised by that? At this point, don't be surprised. But compared to the Warlords of Draenor, daily quests and mop daily quests, I like the emissary quests and the daily quest setup they have now. So much better. So much better. Legion overall has been a great expansion, and I'm looking forward to what we're going to get out of the next one. Now, that said, that ever so happily said, is War for Azeroth, or Battle for Azeroth. We know from what they've talked about briefly was that the Battle for Azeroth is kind of picking up off of the Broken Shore incident, where Varian was laid low by Gul'dan, where we lost Vol'jin, and we saw some of that kind of expanded upon in Legion, but not too much. The eternal struggle between Glenn Greymane and Sylvanas Windrunner seems to really be picking up in the War for Azeroth, or Battle for Azeroth. I'm gonna be interchanging that back and forth throughout the whole video. And if you haven't seen the cinematic yet, go watch the cinematic. Go watch it now. It's gorgeous. Blizzard, start making your own movies, damn it. But that's neither here nor there. But if you've seen the cinematic, you've seen the siege of Anduin and Glenn Greymane and the entire Alliance laying siege to Undercity. Well, the question is that's a hell of a mobilized force. But a better question is besides, the death of one king and a war chief, what could cause that? And if my actual key would work the way it should, boop, Teldrassil burns. Now, they are not saying right now which happens first. They are not saying what happens first. They are not saying if the events of Teldrassil being burnt to the ground leads to the siege of Undercity. Or maybe Teldrassil gets burned to the ground because the Undercity is besieged by the Alliance. But we do know that the Night Elves and the Gilneans lose Teldrassil. And we lose, the Horde. Yeah, I gotta be wearing a For the Horde shirt, I admit it. But the Horde loses the Undercity. So, 2 major capital cities besieged and taken away changes the entire expanse of the game. No more, undead starting up and walking into the Welcome Bear. No more night elves and Gilneans walking out and getting attacked by Welcome Furbolg. So that's changing the entire dynamic of the game. It's also very emphasizing, unlike with Mists of Pandaria, the war aspect. We got a little bit of that in Cataclysm, and we got a little bit of that Mists of Pandaria, with the Alliance and the Horde, butting heads and at war with each other. But there was never major things. This is a massive, major thing. This legitimately changes everything. Azeroth, or the Eastern Kingdoms, the only remaining major Horde city over there will be Silvermoon. For Kalimdor, it's going to be nothing but the Draenei up in the far, far corner. And so the shifts and lines of battle have completely changed because Teldrassil and the Undercity fall. And that is some exciting shit to me. Then they went into talking about what we're going to do. What about these continents? Well, we get 2 continents. These happy 2 continents, one of them, and I wrong slide one up, but I'm going to not fiddle with the editing later on that one. So, we get, as everyone already figured out beforehand, Kul Tiras for the Alliance. The Alliance is going to go down to Kul Tiras, and there's going to be a reason for why we are seeking out allies that have major and massive expanding seas, naval armies. For the Alliance, it's Kul Tiras. Kul Tiras, which is, where Jaina Proudmoore reigns from. Yes, we're going to get to see Jaina's homeland. Oh my. And with that, it is broken up into 3 sections. Tiergard Sound, which is the main peninsula that lies in the middle of Kul Tiras. That is led by Catherine Proudmoore, Jaina's mother, who we are assured is not a Dreadlord. I'm gonna take a moment to sit here and say, on video. I'm not even gonna cut this out. No, this is gonna be on video. I'm really tired of the Jaina's a Dreadlord joke, and I really hope Jesse Cox is suffering every time someone brings that up, because he made that stupid joke and brought it to the rest of us. I really hope he's suffering for it, and I'm glad Blizzard is making fun of him for it. However, dead joke is dead. That said, Kul Tiras and the people of Kul Tiras are rather hardy people. They kind of look like the evolution of man for Azeroth, but they're in between Valkyr and actual humans. They're rather stout, hardy people and very kind of purple-white. It's very weird. They are and they are broken up into 4 houses that rule all of Kul Tiras. Catherine Proudmoore rules Tiergard Sound, and they are monster hunters. They have issues with pirates. They're hardy people. And let me say, some of what we've seen of Kul Tiras already is beautiful. Then we've got Drustvar, down below Tiergard. Drustvar is a very cursed land, from what we were told. It's been besieged by a horrible, horrible, horrible curse, and let me tell you, that Banshee is beautiful looking. Okay, that's a very pretty Banshee. The Drustvar, is playable demo, and we get some new monsters, we get some new creatures to play with. That is very nice looking hag. And you have to see right there, look at that. That is pretty. Is that not a pretty, very pretty, I'm guessing cursed treant of Kul Tiras? It looks like a Ent or Guardian or Ancient. So maybe we'll see, a lot more of those. Very much we'll be seeing a lot more of those. And let me tell you, the world just looks beautiful from some of the video. From the video they introduced. It looks gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Then we've got the last area, which is Stormsong Valley. Stormsong Valley, and ignore the little man hiding behind me, is very interesting. But actually, coming back a little bit to Drustvar, I'm going to leave that image up. I like that image. It's in the southwest region. It's a mountainous region. House Waycrest rules this region. Now, we don't know too much about the houses, but it sounds very Game of Thrones. I knew eventually Blizzard would work some Game of Thrones crap in there. So we've got House Waycrest that rules this region of Drustvar. They supply arms to Kul Tiras, and Waycrest is also supplying sausages. Something about they really hammered that sausage thing a lot. It was kind of weird. I don't know why they went on about sausages so much, but they did. Um, and they supply, but they are also the main supplying of military arms to the rest of Kultiris and to, well, eventually the Alliance. And the heads of Waycrest are, well, missing. And so we're not getting, the Alliance is not getting any armaments or weapons for that. So so Alliance players are gonna have to figure out what the hell happened to them, and that's kind of, and we've obviously very much seen that Waycrest Drustvar is very much cursed, and it's very beautiful architecture. It's very Gilnean, but at the same time, it has the Gilnean and the Westfall architecture to it. I like it. It's very nice. And then the last region is Stormsong Valley. It's, lush and green, and it's the House Stormsong is devoted to, ruling the sea and the region, and they provide most of the ships of Kultiris. And the ships, before they're even sent out, have to be blessed by sea priests. We get to see a sea priest right there in the corner. Rather odd-looking fellow, and sea priest, that's, well, a rather odd-looking fellow. Looks like he might be a little, in bed with the Naga. But it looks beautiful, yeah. I mean, look at the scenery. It's absolutely beautiful. Just gorgeous. And then for the Horde, we're getting the Zandalari. Yes, we get Zandalar. The Zandalar, the home of the trolls, the home of the Troll Empire. It's the ancient Troll Empire. They've got a massive, powerful naval force for the Horde that the Horde comes seeking for. The entire continent's in trouble, and there are, again, 3 main territories and a cute little turtle dude. Look at the cute little turtle dude. I mean, the dude is just cute. Look at him. Oh, my finger doesn't go that far. Oh, right over here. Look at the cute little turtle dude. Oh my god, a cute little turtle dude. He's probably going to eat our face. But so we get the Zandalari trolls joining up with the Horde, which after the events of Mists of Pandaria could be a really interesting thing to see how that plays out. So, first main region, which has the capital of Zandalar, that will also work as the Horde's main hub. And I do briefly forgot about this. I forgot to put this in my note. Is the Alliance hub will be in Tirisgard, and is also called Barisil. It's a very weird name, Barisil. But note there, I'm a Horde, okay? I really don't care about the Alliance too much. Cut me some slack. I'm trying to be unbiased here. So we get Zuldazar, which is one of the main regions, and it's the capital of Zandalari, and the Zandalar Empire rules from there, and it's ruled by King Rastakhan. And we got some brief mention of, King Rastakhan all the way back, and I think in good gravy, Vanilla WoW a little bit. And we get his very lovely daughter there, who I guess is employing adventurers of the Horde to investigate an uprising, or to instigate a uprising against who? Quite possibly her own father, but we'll find out. And the ultimate thing is to stop the Blood Troll invaders from the north. Right now, I gotta say, it's pretty. Again, it's very pretty. And yes, that is a giant dinosaur dude in the background. Yes, I really hope that ends up being a mount. I hope that ends up being a mount. And if you've seen like the Amani and all the other Troll Empire stuff so far, it's very gorgeous, very beautiful stuff all around. It just looks great, and I'm loving it, loving every bit of it. So we've got the Zandalari area, and then we've got Nazir. As I bounce my mic. So Nazmir, which is where all the blood trolls are coming from. It's a festering swampland. It's a terrible place. Terrible, terrible, terrible place. Nazmir was once a lush forest before the Cataclysm. And then, since the Cataclysm, thanks to, Deathwing being a dick, it's now sinking into the ocean. so it's turned into a festering swampland for the blood trolls, and this is where all the blood troll armies are coming from, being sent down to Zuldazar, and to do whatever mayhem they're doing down there. We don't know exactly the motivations here, but they're blood trolls, as we saw with what was that, Warlords of Draenor, with the blood trolls there. They're just blood hungry, mad dogs that should be put down. And while journeying into Nazmir, we're going to have to enlist the aids of powerful Loa, like Bowen Smaudi and Kragwa, the rather large frog gentleman there. I guess has a mount he's gonna drop for us or give us or something. It sounds a lot alike for the Horde. There's gonna be 3 basic emissaries already. And probably a bunch of minor factions or something like that. I think the lower are probably going to be the faction that we're going to have to tangle with in Nazmir, which is going to be cool. But also up in this area, there are Titan secrets. The Titan facility that may hold the key to eradicating all life on Azeroth. And at some point, Alliance players are going to play a part in this, in either stopping it and starting it or something. We don't know quite yet, but it's going to play a key to that, and that's going to be really fascinating to see how that plays out. And again, gorgeous, cute little moppet right there. Spooky, dark architecture, and we get some looks like some new undead models in there too. We're into is it new zombies, giant ugly troll zombie. So it's going to be a nice kind of Wrath Lich King Zuldrak throwbacks all across the board. And that's going to be kind of fun. And then we've got some blood trolls right there. And some really ugly beastie in the background. So, last area is Vol'dun. It's a forbidding desert. It's a desert where it never used to be a desert. If you played WoW long enough, you know some regions didn't used to be a certain way. They're this way now because of something else. Well, Vol'dun never used to be a desert. It was once a vibrant jungle, and then the Akir, the forms before the Nerubians and the Ankaraj and the like came around. The Akir turned it into a horrible, desolate wasteland, kind of like Desolace. And the Zandalari send their criminals out here to die. Not all of them do die, but most of them tend to drop dead there. There's going to be I'm guessing a faction of cute little fox people, the Volpira, who we're going to have to befriend and aid, and we're also going to have to be fighting off against these giant snake guys, the Sethric. And I knew I was not going to get through this video without having to say this, but fucking furries. They're already going to ruin this shit. Cute, adorable little fox people that can be, rogues or ninjas or, whatever else. Furries ruin everything. They do. But it's very gorgeous. Now, I want to take a moment. I want you to appreciate this screen. This screen right here. I tweeted this out, going, did no one else notice that this vaguely looks like Pride Rock? Does this kind of look like Pride Rock that may be, after Mufasa dies and Simba hasn't returned yet? Because it kind of looks very much like Pride Rock, and no one seems to have caught that notice. So, I just want to kind of throw that out there and absorb that in a little bit. And yes, very desolate. We get some great desert architecture, and that looks like some Azerite in the background, and talk about Azerite here in a few minutes. Weird little skittering crawler dude. Kind of adorable. Probably a pain in the ass to use a mount. Very lush, and giant snake temple in the background, and we get some more of the snake people. The snake people riding an armored creature that I just previously featured. So it looks beautiful all around, and just gorgeous. And then because it is a desert and wasteland, occasionally there'll be a nice little oasis. We know about little oases, especially after, slothing through the barrens for so many years. So it's like, ugh. But it's this, and I had to screen cap this image because it's just like the dude rearing up, like, I had to. Overall, from what we've seen, went too far. Overall, from what we've seen so far of the two continents and what they're introducing with the with Kul Tiras and with Zandalar, looks really good. Looks really gorgeous. The animations, the models, the imagery just looks great all across. So I'm really excited about this, and the fact we're getting two continents. And as they said, at 120 they're going to open up the whole area. So we're going to be Horde are going to be making outposts in Kul Tiras. The Alliance is going to be making outposts in Zandalar. There's going to be that back and forth stuff that's going to occur there, and that's going to be really fun and kind of interesting because we get these starting areas. So it's going to be at least a day or two before we run into before a Horde runs into Alliance and vice versa in their starting privileged areas. So that's going to be really kind of nice and kind of fun across the board. And I'm excited for that. And so so far it looks really good. It looks gorgeous and it looks beautiful. But they did bring up an interesting note that for all of the Horde and the Alliance and all that stuff, and there's always the heroes. There's always the heroes of Azeroth. And since, like, Illidan and a few others, we got, Illidan and Khadgar and a few others, we got great evolving story just all the way across the expansion. We're going to get that, too. We're going to get story involving Anduin and Sylvanas, especially as the leaders of the Horde and the Alliance. We're going to find out what's been going on with Jaina. Where has she been since the beginning of Legion to now? Because she's got some very new clothes. We've got Thrall. I mean, what has the former leader of the Horde, the man, or rather the orc, who forged this new Horde? What has he been up to? What is he doing besides raising a small orc? And then, because we're going to be in Zandalar, because it's the home of the Troll Empire, it's the ancient home of the trolls in general, we're going to get some story about Vol'jin. And I will admit, Thrall holding up a urn of Vol'jin's kind of a little too soon, little too funny, but little too soon, just a little bit. It's like kind of a dick move there. Thanks. I mean, we got Vol'jin as war chief for one whole expansion who did nothing. So we're gonna get more story post-mortem. Thanks, you dicks. But with us seeking out these new alliances, these new allies, we're gonna get new allied races, or rather sub-races. Because battle lines are drawn, and we're bringing new allies into the faction, kind of like what we did with Pandaria, but instead of the Pandaren, choosing you can go Horde or you can go Alliance, ideologies. We're going to actually each faction is going to have 3 different, completely different and solely for those factions sub races. And we're going to have to go through quests, and we're going to have to unlock them. We're going to have to unlock a race. It's going to be kind of cool. And once you unlock the ability you get to play that race. Here we go. The races will have their own racial abilities, and there will be varied customizations. And when you unlock it, you can, do the standard race change. So if you want to be a dwarf, but you want to be a dark iron dwarf, you can race change to a dark iron dwarf. But if you decide to start a new character, you will begin at level 20 with these allied races. And that's really cool. And that's actually really cool. It's because you'll be able to start at level 20. So you start with riding, this and that. And there's a benefit for starting at 20 and leveling all the way up to, I think they said like 100, 110. Since the new cap is going to be 120. And I'll get into that here in a moment. Is the allied races at launch right now stand as the Nightborn, the High Mountain Tauren, and the Zandalar Trolls, which are kinda okay. And then for the Alliance, we're getting Void Elves, the elite elves that were led by Varissa Windrunner, who have learned to tap into the void, tap into the dark powers, and have become more than they were. They're no longer high elves, they're no longer, whatever. They are now Void Elves. They are a whole new race of elves. We get Lightforged Draenei, which are going to have all sorts of customizations, like goatees, hair, things like that. So that's going to be kind of cool, kind of interesting. And then we're going to get Dark Iron Dwarves. And that one's kind of a okay, yeah. So we're gonna get a second set of light for. We're gonna get a second set of Draenei, and a second set of dwarves, and a second set of trolls, and a second set of Tauren. But the Nightborn and the Void Elves, okay, and they are planning more. Just at launch, there's going to be these 6 available that we're going to have to go through, unlock these, sub races, and be able to use them. But they're going to plan more. There are so many varied races. I mean, we may eventually see the Naga. We may see the Volpera. We may... Personally, you know what? The one I'm wanting, the one I really, really want, is the guys from Uldum. The Egyptian guys. I can't remember what they're called. The Osram? No. That was an opposing faction. But those guys, I would love to have those guys. That'd be great. That'd be awesome. I might actually roll a warrior if I could play as those guys. But that so we're not just getting one race. We're getting sub races. We're getting races that already kind of exist, and there's already models. And it's kind of interesting is when you think about is the models for the Void Elves are based off of the Sunwell Elves, off of the Blood Elves. There we go. I found the word eventually. Based off the Blood Elves, while the Nightborn models are based off of Night Elves. So that's kind of how they're wink, wink, nudge, nudge there. And and they showed off great images of the High Mountain Tauren sub race. We're gonna facial hair on Draenei. Okay. The Nightborn. We know what the Nightborn look like, so that's going to be kind of cool. Dark Iron Dwarfs look great. That was just... I mean, that almost makes me want to play more Alliance. That right there. Just like... Have to level a character, and it's like... But just to unlock the Dark Iron Dwarfs, yeah, it might be worth it. Might just be worth it. The Zandalari Trolls. Now, the Zandalari Trolls, I dig... I just dig that image. I just dig that image all across. But they are also not like your standard trolls, the dark spear trolls. So you're normally kind of hunched over and whatnot. These guys are standing up tall and straight. Like, we're not broken down. We are former masters of the world, bitch. So that's just kind of cool to me. But there was one more thing that they kind of threw out there. We got the Void Elves, which, Void Elves, okay. Very pale, black wings, okay. But it was one more thing that was kind of cool, is level to 110 to unlock Heritage Armor. Now, going back to the happy Dark Iron Dwarves, if you have a dwarf, but you don't want to race change, but you decide to, level, or actually, well, any dwarf in general, I think, or any race in general, is if you level all the way to 110, or did they say 120? 110 to unlock the Heritage Armor. If you level all the way up to 110, you unlock this Heritage Armor. This armor, which you can use as a transmog set across all your characters. That's really cool. I sit here and go, that'd be kind of cool on my Blood Elf. That might be interesting to have on some Alliance character. I don't know if I have any Alliance characters, but that might be kind of cool. That would be great to have on my Druid. That would be great to have it on my Druid. I think that's just fun and exciting. And I don't have a Troll character, but for a Troll, I would probably, for a standard Darkseer's Troll, I would dig that. I would actually flat out dig having that on there. So, and yeah, get back to me later on the Void Elves thing. Just get back to me later on that. So we've got our lines of battles have been drawn. We've got new allies to bring into our factions. New abilities, new racial abilities, various customizations, whole new leveling things to do there, and trans functions. Whew, there's just a lot of goodies already. But wait, there's more. Leveling improvements. Yes, leveling improvements. So a lot of people enjoyed how the leveling system for Legion worked out, because you could choose any zone as you're going along. You can choose any zone to level through. Well, they decide, what, they're gonna expand that. They're gonna expand that out. So the way they explained it is basically like Westfall. If you're an Alliance, you start out in Westfall. You can level from 1 to 60 there. If you are, a horde and you start out in Mulgore, 1 to 60. If you go out to Stranglethorn Vale, that's what, 20 to 60. For like the Barrens, that's 30 to 60. So it's compressing it to expansions or releases, but then it gets better. There's going to be flexible expansion order. Outland and Northrend scales from 60 to 80. So if there's parts of Outland you were really fun but you out-leveled too fast, well, they'll still be viable for a good while. And if there's parts of Northrend you loved going through, but, some of it just kind of dragged through and you wanted to skip it, guess what? You can pop out to Outland. Personally, I'd love to be able to, sit there and do some Nagrand stuff and some Bladespire Mountains and Terakar Forest, and then go, well, I'm tired of this. I'm gonna head over to Northrend. I'm gonna do some leveling in around Warsong Hold and go through all that fun stuff. And it's not just Outland and Northrend that are flexible, but it's also going to be Mop and Kata. They're being tied together from 80 to 80. What is it? 80 to 100? Yeah, 80 to 100, or 80 to 100, 80 to 90, somewhere in there. So that's going to be flexible too. Frankly, if we could just skip Warlord to Draenor altogether, that'd be nice. And it's going to apply to dungeons and rewards too, so all the goodness there. You can be able to run, say, Blackwing Lair, or what's another good one? Maradon, or all those fun dungeons, and 1 to 60. You're good to go. For if you want to if you just want to dungeon run one area over and over and over again until you have every single AI glitch and issue memorized so well that you can do it blindfolded, backwards, and drunk, you can do that and still get gear and rewards out of it, and you'll be able to finally collect all those sets you want. I'm looking at you, a Hellfire Chasm. Ooh. So that was just a really cool point. So it's like increasing this zone scaling and flexibility for doing various things, so you don't have to go through the exact same content over and over again. Or if you're going through a zone and you're quickly out leveling it, but you want to finish the story, you'll be able to actually finish the story and still get experience. And that's a key point. That's a really awesome point to me, is to be able to actually finish out a zone's entire storyline and still get experience for it without having to move on next. That is important. That is awesome. Because I know everyone has run into that so much and so often, so painfully killing how much time. So this is going to be allowing you to be able to fiddle around more, get a full story out of area, and keep progressing at the same time without having to hop all around. No, you'll be able to finish a storyline in one area, and once you're done there, you can move to a next area, and boom, 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 you're done, and and the scaling will be so nice. We're gonna have to wait and see how that works out, but wait, there's more. They are working on actually putting this out in 7.3.5. Yes, they are actually going to roll this out in the next major patch for WoW right now. Yeah, they're not waiting until, freaking Battle for Azeroth to begin. They're rolling that out as soon as they can because, oh wait, that's going to be great. And that to me is a really awesome thing, is because that's going to get that out so much faster, so much quicker, and people are going to be able to enjoy that. I know I might be able to, squeeze in another tune or two. Won't be able to get through all of, the Legion content, but hey, whatever. But that flexibility and goodness is going to be so nice. It's going to be so nice. So I'm really happy about that. And so when it starts rolling, they're not going to completely roll it out at 7.35, but they are going to start rolling it out then. So that's something to look forward to. So another part, some people will sit there and go, well, what's the main driving force besides the war with the Alliance and the Horde again? Well, there's some important things. Some really important things is the Legion assault on Azeroth has actually wounded the Titan Azeroth itself. She is desperately, direly hurt. She is bleeding out. And that is where Azerite comes in. Azerite, which is the actual lifeblood of Azeroth herself, that is bleeding out and crystallizing, becomes also a big driving force for what we're going to get from the battle for Azeroth. And this story point is actually kind of interesting, is because Magni sends adventurers to commune with Azeroth herself, and in that you're going to gain a new artifact necklace, the Necklace of Azeroth, or rather the Heart of Azeroth. It's it's like a Legion artifact weapon, but this is just a necklace. And speaking of Legion artifact weapons, I guess coming soon by the end of the Legion expansion pack, the Legion artifact weapons will get a proper send-off. I'm really hoping it's going to be really good and not tied into the Antorus raid. That would piss me off, but at least if they send off the weapons in a good way, I'll be happy. I'm going to be really pissed, but I'm going to be really happy about it. Unlike, just like how we've gotten legendaries and dropped and, pick them up and use them for a bit and then dropped off and they take up bag space. It's like, well, fine. So our new legendary artifact, the, Heart of Azeroth. There's going to be kind of an AP grind sort of thing to it, like what we got. And since Azurite is a mineral essence we'll encounter to empower this Heart of Azeroth, that unlocks the AP system for armor. And that's the thing, it's going to be an AP system for armor. Now, they have said that it's going to be 3 main... Oh, there it is. I'm going to have to skip around a little bit. Azurite armor. So it's going to be for, 3 main areas. It's going to be, head, shoulders, and chest, I think they said. Head, shoulders, and chest, yep. Hey, I paid attention. And got the right screen cap on that one. And it's going to be kind of an AP system. We're going to lock abilities and things like that. But unlike the linear nature that we got with the AP system for the weapons, and unlike the very random nature that we got for the Netherlight Crucible, there is going to be, a head is a head is a head, a shoulder is a shoulder is a shoulder, chest is a chest. And we're going to unlock various abilities and whatnot that will have very common natures, have very important uses to them, but they're also going to be very functional tools. And we're also going to have varying ranges of things, as you can see here. So far, look, see, you've got a headpiece, you've got 2 headpieces here. One is for elemental, one is for, and there's a lot of crossover. So very much it's going to be, very much intertwined. It's going to be very useful across the board. The 3 and the same layout, stronger powers. With that, the same layout, stronger powers thing is, normal dungeon, you get that, but the next step up of the same helmet, the heroic version will obviously be stronger than the normal dungeon. The mythic dungeon version will be stronger than the heroic dungeon version. So it will never change if so you have the exact same helmet, every 3 different versions of it, the exact same helmet, the exact same chest, the exact same shoulders. It's just whatever is stronger will be whatever is stronger. So you will know what stats and, what's going to be unlocked for that piece, no matter what, which is nice. It removes the RNG nature that we got from the relics and whatnot. Now, each piece is going to have its own different thing. So one helm will have a different thing than another helm, but you get the upgrade version of Helm A. Oh, hey, you unlock this piece. You unlock that piece. And then the AP system itself will be kind of interesting. It's going to be level. It's not exactly AP per se, but it's going to be leveling. And the first one is going to be at 5, and very much concept. Nothing's confirmed. Nothing is set in stone. But the first one's going to be like a level 5, level 15, level 30, so on and so forth. But there's 4 rings to it. And you go along and you'll have choices on each ring, at least 2 to 3 choices per ring. And they each do have their uses. Because, they displayed, one example would be you have a choice between Astral Shift for a shaman or faster wolf form. Both those are mechanics that are, for avoiding damage. One is to run away from the fire. The other is to absorb the fire. For people who have a bad habit of being able to not running into fire, you'll be able to take the fire better. For people who can run away from the fire, you can run away faster. So it's more neutral mechanics that will also allow far more flexibility. And that is a key thing they hammered, was a lot of flexibility. Unlike the AP system, unlike the randomness of the Netherlight system, you are going to get what you get. And the amulet strength will affect these, pieces. So all around, it's going to be an interesting change from what we've seen already, what we've gotten already for various things. So I'm, like with the AP system, I'm going to reserve judgment and thoughts on that. But it's going to be kind of interesting to be able to upgrade our armor in such a way to unlock abilities for our armor. The question I have, and I deeply wonder, is if this is going to affect, say, if it's going to have an effect. If you get, armor A, and then you get upgrade of armor, you get like the normal version of this armor, and then you get like the heroic version. Is it going to, whatever choice you made for that armor, is that going to be the same on the next piece? Or will you be able to change that choice? That's a question I have. But we'll find out. And there will be various things that affect powers, abilities, things like that. So there's a lot of utility, and there's going to be a lot of choices, and there's going to be a lot of commonality, as they said. And so that's going to be really nice. That's all across the board. That's going to be really nice, kind of fun. But we're going to have to wait to see how that comes when the game actually launches. And they did not give us a release date. So, with Azerite, the gnomes and the goblins have found ways to hunt it and find it and locate it. Well, and it appears in all sorts of places, especially in these new islands and lands that we're traveling to. So, since we're going to be traveling to all these new places, occasionally we may want to stop and pillage something, or, just see some natives and want to get to know the natives. What you do with the natives is of your business, and I don't want to know personally, but, you may want to get to know the natives. So, with that comes the next new feature coming to WoW, is Island Expeditions. You'll explore uncharted islands all across the Great Sea. And because, Horde Alliance fighting, we're going to be skirmishing for resources. They are 3-player cooperative gameplays, and they are role agnostic. That is something they hammered really, really hard. Role agnostic. So you could roll into these 3-player scenarios with 3 healers, or you could roll in with 3 DPS, 3 tanks. You could run in with a ranged DPS and 2 melee DPS. You can run in there with a bunch of demon hunters. It's not set to any role, and this is something they've built off of the previous systems of scenarios from MoP to the tier systems of Draenor to what we've got in Legion right now with the various scenarios now. And so they've been just building and building on top of it. And that's actually kind of cool. That's kind of cool. Be able to, just like, oh, role doesn't matter. Boom, let's go do this. Now, I will sit there and say, with some of the Legion invasions, yeah, role really did matter sometimes. Because there was times when you're getting pounded by a boss at the end of it, and you really needed a tank. Or you really needed a healer. Otherwise, you would just corpse run, hit it a couple times, die, corpse run, hit it a couple times, die. And that got annoying. So, keep in mind, it may be role agnostic. But it's still preferable that I would say, personally speaking, to run with a tank, a healer, and DPS. Or a tank and 2 DPS, and one of those DPS has some good healing abilities. They are going to be completely varied and dynamic objectives, and you're going to be racing against advanced AI opponents, and I'll talk about the advanced AI opponents here in a minute. role agnostic. These are going to be short little mini scenarios, kind of like what we got with the Legion invasions and whatnot. 15, 20 minutes, half an hour if you're being stupid. And they're going to be these. I think they said like 3 main islands starting out, 3 islands you're going to be exploring. And just because you explore an island one time, it's going to be different every time after. The island features are going to be creatures, capture points, chests, Azurite nodes, quest givers, consumable shrines, start locations, caves, ships, and more. And that's where it comes in the dynamic portion. Is we've got the Ungol ruins here. This is one visit. There's some Sathrek there, and there's a shrine to Azara, and you're gonna have to and you'll be able to pick up like this clamshell and throw it and stun them, and then you've got to battle with them to get to the final the final boss into the Azurite node here. Okay, well another time you visit, and now there's blood trolls. And the island is cursed, and it's completely changed. Another time you'll visit, you'll get all. So they started it with the base concept of you've got an island, and there's some creatures on the island, and there's some Azurite. Those are like the 3 key points they seem to set it out, and from there they built events off of what the story for the island is. And because of that, allows it to be more dynamic, because you can sit there and visit one time and there's going to be friendly trolls there, or friendly pandas or whatever, who are going to be your buddies and give you stuff, and maybe have you go do a quest and collect some things, and that's that. And then another time you're going to have to be fighting off Mogu, who have invaded from Pandaria, or you're going to have to run into some pissed off treants, or you're going to have to clear the curse off the island. So it's going to be always changing, always dynamic, kind of like the rotating sets for mythics every week. Like if you've run mythics, especially the higher tier mythics, how like corruption and blood and something else are terrible combo. This is kind of the same idea. They've just expanded out to be a playable scenario over and over again, and every time it's going to change up, it's going to be different. And they've also noted that things like nodes and chests, that if you get similar items, will not be in the same spawn point. They will move around. So there's adding in more randomness, more adventure and excitement, and far more replayability, so you can gather Azurite. So that's kind of cool. And there's going to be powerful bosses. Of course, there's always going to be a powerful boss that's going to punch you in the face and make you cry like a little baby. But then there's the advanced NPCs thing. Now, with the expedition, with the island expeditions, or islands as we call them, or I figured the WoW community is going to call them expeditions. There's advanced NPCs. So you're doing these. Normally when you do a scenario, it's just you and you've got time to kill. You're fighting against, pretty much the bosses, the NPCs in the game, of the area. Well, it's actually going to be a race. It's actually going to be a race against an opposing faction NPC group. They're going to be smart. They have advanced AI. Like they example, like say your alliance, the horde comes up. The horde has a rogue with them. The rogue, this advanced AI NPC, will use tactical abilities. They'll like sap you and attack the boss, or they'll blind the boss and attack you, or they'll sap you, blind the boss, and run away and go get their buddies. There's going to be dynamic objectives and changes to how the AI will play out. Sure, there will be some probably predictability to a certain extent, because if you play the game long enough, you can predict another player's move. But at the same time, this adds a pseudo PvP aspect to it, which is really kind of cool. The NPCs will be going after the map objectives. So if you're dawdling around dealing with some NPC, they will drop a boss and steal the Azurite from you. They can make strategic decisions, they will have personalities, and they will have some very serious unpredictability. So it will be actually like racing against, not the best players in the world, but, at least pseudo-realistic players, and that's going to add an interesting level of challenge for these scenarios. They did mention that the island expeditions is let's lost my note. I lost my note. But they did mention that the expeditions had... there we go. We'll have the Spirits of Vengeance and the Wolf Pack. Spirits of Vengeance are Vol'jin loyalists, dark spirituals who will be fighting against the Alliance, and the Wolf Pack are Gen Greymane's personal hunters. They will be fighting you while charging the island and doing this and that. So that's kind of interesting. And the scenarios themselves will actually have 4 settings. They'll have normal, heroic, mythic, and PvP mode. So if you actually don't want to fight NPCs, you actually want to go against other players, there will be a PvP mode. So queue times are going to be low. You'll be able to get those in and out, and you're going to be able to collect Azerite a lot. So that's actually going to be fun. So the worst that's going to delay you is going to be, oh wait, how much queue time have you got going? So that's kind of interesting across the board. That to me is just a really exciting bit. It's like that's really cool. Hopefully it works really well, because we've seen them experiment with things that didn't work out quite the best before. Look at garrisons, for example. And garrisons just in general didn't work. It was a great idea, but just didn't work. Hopefully we know that Blizzard and Activision have been kind of dabbling with new AIs to be able to, play like a real player against other players with what they've been doing with StarCraft 2, that this is that kind of step towards that. So that's going to be that hopefully these AI actually come out really smart and don't turn into Skynet. Don't turn into Skynet. Don't turn into Skynet. Don't turn into Skynet. What? I have a serious worry that Blizzard's going to create... Blizzard or Google, one of them is going to create, a Skynet, and we're all going to be screwed. So dynamic replayability, because it's always going to change around. It's always going to be different. You'll never visit the same... You'll visit the same island, but it'll be never the same events on the island every time. So that's going to be really interesting and fun. Next thing is Warfronts. 20-player cooperative instances. They will be Alliance versus Horde. They are all-out war, and they are in the Warcraft RTS style. What I mean by that? Okay. The Warfront primarily is going to be based around Stromgarde, since the survivors/refugees of Undercity, since Undercity completely falls, will be taking camp up in the Arathi Highlands. Stromgarde, I was going to eventually get it. Stromgarde was eventually, become important. Well, it has become important now. It's been restored, it's been rebuilt, and now it's becoming a focal point for the Horde and the Alliance. For the Alliance, it's going to be a major forward base to be able to take back, to finish taking over the Northern Kingdoms and Lordaeron, and eventually push on Silvermoon. And for the Horde, it's going to be a major jump point to push from the Arathi Highlands, to take back the Undercity, and to take Gilneas. It's going to become a major battleground, where we are going to have, a single commander versus a single commander, and their armies duking it out. And they went as far as, Undercity's more ruins. And the State of the Eastern Kingdoms is a nice little thing they kind of threw out there is, Undercity lies, in more ruins. It's pretty much owned by the Alliance at this point. Undercity isn't defensible for the Alliance. The threat of the Horde remains, and they're trying to cut off, especially Silvermoon. They're trying to completely just remove the Horde from the northern kingdoms and from Azeroth. For the Horde, it's making a stand, preventing the Alliance from building up anymore, and a launching point for an attack on Gilneas. They are literally going to the RTS style. This is based off the original Warcraft 1, Warcraft 2, Warcraft 3 upgrade systems. You will build your base. You'll build a barracks. You'll produce your happy hunters, your riflemen, your knights, and whatnot, and then you will build up stronghold, Great Hall to stronghold to fortress. And they are really, really, really going towards the RTS thing. So 20-man battles with major wars and a lot of fight. We're going to research new war technology, battlefield events. There's going to be different and fight different enemy commanders. Large scale conflict on the home front, fantasy anchored in Warcraft 3 RTS roots. It's going to be 20 player versus NPC armies. Build structures, research, or upgrades, and lead troops. This kind of harkens back to what they were trying to do with Wrath of the Lich King and didn't, and they've been trying to get this done for a while now. Very dynamic battlefields and PvP pitches and things like that. Well, this harkens back to that and actually moves forward. We'll actually have buildings that have health, kind of like, a Arathi Basin, or not a Arathi Basin, but what's it called? Alterac Valley. Those will be destructible. We'll be able to use catapults and launchers and other various other weapons to fight back and forth, and it will be very much an RTS kind of thing. So that's actually really fun. That looks really cool to me. I'm really excited about that, and that will actually help inflame the PvP stuff. We're gonna get the standard PvP updates. New arenas in Tiergard and Zuldazar. New battleground of the Seething Shore, the Horde Alliance. Going back to Silithus again. Why are we going back to Silithus again? Why do we keep going back to Silithus? What is so important about a Silithus? But we're going to be fighting over, for Azerite that's bubbling to the surface, and there's going to be dynamic control point gameplay, and I'll explain that here in a minute. There we go. That's what I wanted. I mislabeled a slide. So all these happy little points here, all the little crystals that you see, are possible spawn points for Azerite. These spawn points will not be set. So you'll have like the Horde on one side and Alliance on the other. Well, you've got another spawn point popping up. Then you have to decide, okay, how many people are you going to send over to try to take that, and how many people are you going to keep at one point that you're defending right now, and vice versa. So it's going to be a very dynamic, very changing battlefield, battleground. So that's going to be kind of exciting, and we haven't really seen too much. It's not. There's no dynamic. There's no available gameplay for that quite yet. With the PvP updates, we're also going to get world PvP changes. Yes, world PvP changes. We haven't seen a major world PvP change since they removed dishonorable kills, basically. Since it's largely unchanged since 2005, they're going to update the system to reflect the 2018 world. They're removing the PvP and PvE server division. And the individual choice to opt into PvP and bonuses to offset the efficiency. So basically what that comes down to is you go to a major city hub, Orgrimmar, Stormwind. I really hope that you'll be able to do any major city hub, like Thunderbluff or Ironforge, or go to Silvermoon, and be able to switch this on and off. And you'll be able to switch on whether or not you're engaged in PvP or not. So if you're on a PvP server, you can flick off that PvP symbol and go running around and go do story. Or if you're on a PvE server like I am, and you want a little more excitement, you can flick it on and go running around and go kill things, or be ganked to death. There are going to be bonuses to in either case, because one of the biggest issues that's come along is people have started out on PvP servers, their friends are there, they join those servers, but they aren't really big on PvP. Or their friends are on PvE, but they're big on PvP, and there's not a PvP on PvE servers, so things happen. And the servers always slant to one side or the other. There's no real balanced server unless it's a low pop server anymore. So this is kind of a reflection, update, and change to allow that, because a lot of PvPers miss out on game content because they're on a PvP servers and they don't want to really move. And PvP or PvE people miss out on a lot of the action and fun because they aren't flagged naturally, so they have to go through all this effort. So this is just kind of a extra step to change that, especially since we've got the cross-faction realms and the the server hubs. Not merge servers, that's not merge servers, but the server hubs and things like that allow people to better communicate and work together and play together and things like that. So that's a lot of fun all across the board. So I'm kind of excited by that, especially with their changes to the PvP updates and all that fun stuff. And then we come to dungeons. Each faction has their own level up dungeons, which is nice, which is kind of cool. It's kind of, all around kind of cool. All dungeons are going to be available to both sides at 120. Standard, awesome. Mythic Keystones are going to stay around, but they're getting some updates. There's going to be some UI updates and things like that all across the board. One dungeon, which is for leveling and starting out, is the Freehold, based in Tiergard Sound. They are pirates that are annoying Tiergard Sound in the main capital. It's a big problem, and they're and it's very beautiful. We got some of the pirates there. And yes, that is an ogre with sharks, basically fisting a couple of sharks. That is an ogre fisting a couple of sharks. So, we've got your standard dungeon goodness, and they teased about that. And then we've got, for the Horde, one of the starting dungeons is going to be Atal Dazar. It's located in Zuldazar. It's a golden tomb of Zandalari kings nestled in the mountains. We've got undead T-Rexes, so we're gonna have T-Rexes, undead T-Rexes. We're gonna have trolls and undead trolls and all sorts of things, and it looks pretty. There is the dungeon list, the full pretty much. Tol Dagor, Waycrest Manor, which I'm just gonna tie into finding out what happened to the Waycrests, Shrine of the Storm. Siege of Boralis, it's a dungeon involving the capital for the Alliance, the Temple of Sethralis, the Underrot, King's Rest, and Kazan. Kazan's an interesting one because that is the Horde goblins' home. So that's going to be really interesting, to see what that one is, because that could be a really big, really awesome dungeon. Or it's going to be annoying. Raids. Yes, we've got raids. There's, one raid that's going to come out pretty much with launch. Uldir, Halls of Control. 8 bosses at the Titan Quarantine Facility. We're going to face off against the source of the Zandalar's corruption. And that's kind of cool. It's nice because, that this is one of the concept art of one of the big ugly buggers we're going to deal with there. Yes, that in the corner is a tiny little dude. It's a giant slug creature that, at least it doesn't have legs, but we're going to be staring at a lot of belly. Tanks, start getting ready to watch that belly. Given it's a quarantine facility, I'm kind of curious of what will all be quarantined there besides a giant slug. But we also get some news about Queen Ashara. Yes, she's going to be the final boss of either the Uldir raid or of another raid. So we're going to get, Queen Ashara finally. That's been, let's see here, Cataclysm to Mop to Warlords to Legion. Yeah, that's been a few expansions now. And we've seen, and Ashara's raid's going to play into some of the stuff that's going on with Kultiris and the assaults by pirates and sea creatures and dark lurking things down below. So they're trying to say that it's not going to be an Old God expansion, but it's going to be an Old God expansion. Then we got social goals. Okay, I kind of tuned out with the social goals thing, with all the social stuff. They're integrating and changing up a lot of things. As right now the social structure like guild, raid group, arena teams, pre-made finders, for rated battlegrounds and mythic keystones. They want to enhance the current social structures because they like guilds. They want to make it easier to manage and connecting and keep communicating. They are integrating Battle.net Voice, the same system that's used in Overwatch, into WoW. You're going to get a little pop-up symbol telling you, oh, this person's talking, and da-da-da. It's going to be high quality. They keep trying to put in that stupid freaking voice feature in WoW. It's never really worked, man. It's never worked. But it's supposed to work across game sessions. But okay, fine. I believe you. There's going to be character-specific groups and cross-server goodness. So that's kind of fun, and the way they explain that, because the social aspect is kind of a meh thing to me. I've been playing solo for so long, pretty much, that I've kind of accepted my solo nature. So, but like they'll be, druids will have like specific chats and whatnot they can communicate on their servers and cross faction servers and things like that. So that's gonna be really cool and kind of fun. There is also, I had to bring this up. I was going to bring this up, and I don't like talking about this, but the big announcement. One of the big things is vanilla. Vanilla WoW. It's coming. Actually, legacy servers, or classic servers, or whatever the hell they're going to call it, are coming. May not be for a while, may not be until like 28, may not be until like 2020, but they're coming. Even if we have to deal with time traveling orcs again, they're coming. I'm not exactly excited by this prospect, but okay. Alright. Fine. I've never really got into the hype because I remember Vanilla WoW. I remember BC. I had a shit ton of fun in BC. But I don't want to spend that much time trying to earn flying in BC again. No. That gold grind alone was a nightmare. So that really does kind of cover a lot of what we had. Yeah, there was even a surprise, appearance by Metzen, Shikaka. So there's a lot of good stuff. That are coming out of it. We've seen a lot of good stuff. If you don't have the virtual ticket and you aren't at BlizzCon, I'm hoping this at least helps out a little bit. It gives you an idea of some of the stuff they've got going, some of the visuals, some of the goodies that they've got planned. I know personally, I'm excited to see what they're going to bring to us next. And frankly, I'm glad that they were getting their next expansion. There is no confirmation on dates, on when it's going to launch or anything like that. They did not give us a release date. They did not give us a time frame. They just said, here's what we got going, and boom, 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 boom. There's a lot of things I'd like them to expand out and talk about more. During the deep dive, they talked about, with like the island expeditions. I'm kind of curious to how that's going to play out, especially like PvP aspect-wise. And like how random is random. Is like, can you get a random, the island's cursed and you've got Mogo invaders who are actually friendly? How random is the random generation going to be? How dynamic is it going to be? Especially when it comes to, like, say, even the PV, if you do the PvP version. How random and dynamic is that going to be? And they talked about there's 4 houses that rule Kul Tiras. Well, we know about Waycrest, and we know about Proudmoore, and we know about Stormsong. What's the 4th house? They didn't mention the 4th house. I really want to know about why Teldrassil burns. Why did Teldrassil burn to the ground? What the hell happened there? What motivated Anduin Wyrn? I mean, such a peaceful and friendly child to lay siege to the Undercity in such a way. I know he's angry about his father's death and whatnot, and Gen Greymane aiding that's really not helping. But he's obviously biased. They keep playing up the betrayal of the Horde. Well, if you played the Horde side, the Horde didn't betray the Alliance. The Horde was forced to flee. When are we going to sit there and stop and go, we need to talk. We need to stop and talk about this between the Alliance and the Horde. I want to know, and with like Teldrassil burning, how is that going to affect, like, say, the Cenarian Circle and the Druids and even the Shamans? I'm really curious to see what we're going to see for allied races beyond, the Lightforged Draenei, the Dark Iron Dwarves, the Void Elves, the Nightborn, the High Mountain Tauren, and the Zandalari. Are we going to, maybe see... are we going to see some Naga? Are we going to get Furbulge? Because, I mean, with the Druids, tank, with Guardian Druids, special Mage Tower quest, you get that, werebear form. That's kind of very fur bulge like. Are we going to see some fur bulge under sub races added in? There's so much stuff that they are adding in. I'm also kind of curious to like what the leveling caps are going to be like for certain zones. Like if you could grind out from 1 to 60 in Mulgore the entire time, whew, that's going to be annoying and painful. But that's going to be fun. And what is going to be like the drop-off rate for, the leveling experiences there? That's something to think about. And with like the Heart of Azeroth, I brought this up, if you get 2 of the same pieces, can you unlock, when you put that piece of gear on, can you make a different choice on unlocking something, or is it going to be applied to that exact same gear across the board, or is it going, are you going to be able to change that around? Is there going to be a way to change it around if you sit there and go, well, this exactly isn't working out for me, what's it going to take to change it back? With the PvP updates, I mean, I haven't PvP'd a lot since Burning Crusade, so, World PvP, I do miss World PvP a bit, because that was always fun. It's like, surprise kitty, and then turn into surprise boomkin, and then surprise bear eating your face. I miss being a drop bear. I miss flying through an area and seeing like a bunch of alliance and going, drop bear, changing from, Stormcrow form, and then when you're about 20 yards away, do the feral charge, and it negates all damage. And you start wrecking bases. I miss doing things like that, and that was always one of their problems with World PvP. But at the same time, it was a key function of World PvP. With the dungeons, I'm kind of excited to see what we're gonna get out of the dungeons. I mean, Freehold and Atal Dazar look gorgeous, and I'm kind of curious what the UI updates they briefly mentioned were, what that's gonna be like, how that's gonna play out. Raids, I think I'm thinking it's gonna be like a 3 or 4 raid expansion, especially with Azshara. I hope they don't blow their load and have Azshara in that first raid. I really hope they don't, because that would suck. That would suck a lot. With the Azerite thing, I liked how they kind of made note about it's like it was like plutonium, it's powerful and unknown and incredibly destructive. And that it ties into why we seek out the Kultiris and the Zandalari for, their naval forces. That's always fun. Yeah, there's just a lot of stuff, and I still got a lot of crap I have to cover for Overwatch and Heroes of the Storm. Luckily, those are a lot simpler than the almost 4 hours of material I've gone through already just to make, just be able to sit here and spend an hour and 15 minutes. So there's a lot of story stuff. There's a lot of goodies. Warfronts excite me because I love a good RTS. That one, I really hope it plays like an RTS. And I'm also curious if that's going to be like a dynamic thing too. Are you going to be able to hop in and out? Is it going to change like day by day? Is it going to be like a battleground? What's going on with that? So I'm kind of curious to how that becomes, especially with the Stromgarde as a focal point for it. But that all said, with my happy final thoughts thrown in there, I hope everyone's having a good day. If you haven't been able to see BlizzCon, it really sucks. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry you can't see BlizzCon because you don't have a virtual pass or you can't be there. Hopefully this video actually has helped out a little bit, giving you like some things to look forward to, some things to talk about and think about as we come up to the next expansion. And they have said that there is still a lot more story to tell to Legion, so we're looking probably at the very least next fall for the next expansion, because there's still a lot of story left. They still haven't released the Antorus raid yet, so hopefully we'll be seeing that by next fall. By next BlizzCon, we'll see the release. And yeah, so there's been a lot of stuff all around. If for some reason you actually like this video, you want to drop a like. If you aren't a subscriber, hey, subscribe. I'll see what I can pump out more often. If you didn't like this video, you know what? Drop a dislike. Say why you didn't like it down below, besides obviously the random sounds of my dog in the background, or my annoying voice, or anything else. But keep it constructive. Keep it constructive. And if you have like thoughts, images, ideas of what you want to see out of not just out of BlizzCon, but out of an upcoming expansion, and out of what Blizzard is doing with WoW alone. You know what? Let's start up a conversation down below. You know, let's steal a note from Philip DeFranco. Let's start up a conversation down below in the comments, and you know, all that fun stuff. So, I hope everyone has a good day. I hope everyone has a good weekend. I hope everyone has enjoyed BlizzCon, and I hope everyone has enjoyed this coverage of the BlizzCon WoW portions. And until next time, I will talk to you all later. Until then, have a good day, and goodbye.